Welcome to my channel. Try to hear the latest story.
For years, I was the person everyone turned to when they needed help. I'd rearrange my schedule to assist a friend with a move or stay late at the office to complete a colleague's task. My manager would message me at midnight, and I'd reply instantly. I'd take on extra shifts when someone called in sick, and I'd tackle the assignments no one else wanted. Growing up, I was taught that kindness would always be rewarded. At Thompson Creative, where I worked for 5 years, I was the first to arrive and the last to leave. I supported my team in meeting their deadlines, brought pastries during stressful times, and even let my boss, Karen, present my ideas as her own in meetings because she claimed it would carry more weight coming from her. When my father was diagnosed with cancer last year, I approached Karen about working from home 2 days a week to take him to his treatments. She sighed and said, "We need you here, but I guess we can manage for a short while." I was so thankful that I doubled my efforts on office days, ensuring no task was left undone. Dad's treatment was expected to last 6 months, but after 3, Karen summoned me to her office. She declared that the remote setup wasn't sustainable, that the team required my presence daily, and that I'd had enough time to sort things out. I explained that Dad was only halfway through his chemo and had no one else to drive him. She stared at me until I looked away and mumbled, "I understand." That week, I drained my savings to hire drivers for him, exhausted and constantly worried. About Dad, I still showed up early every day. Then came the Pinnacle account, a critical deal that could define our company's quarter. I poured weeks into researching, crafting the pitch, and designing visuals, even missing one of Dad's appointments to finalize it. The day before the presentation, Karen asked for my materials. I handed over my slides and notes without hesitation. The next morning, I arrived eager to present, only to find the meeting room packed. Karen was at the front, delivering my pitch, using my words, my research, my vision. I stood frozen in the doorway as she smiled and said, "Oh, Sarah, perfect timing. Could you grab some drinks for the team? We're just starting." The client glanced at me and asked, "Aren't you leading this?" Before I could respond, Karen chimed in, "No, this is my project. Sarah just assisted with some background work." I fetched the drinks and stood at the back, watching her bask in praise for my efforts. The client signed a multi-year contract, the largest in our company's history. Karen received a bonus and a promotion. I got a $25 coffee shop voucher. That evening, Dad called. He'd fallen while getting out of a cab and lay on the ground for half an hour until a neighbor helped him. If I'd been there, I kept thinking. If I'd just been there. 2 days later, the company threw a party to celebrate the Pinnacle deal. Karen was awarded a plaque. I clapped along with everyone else. Then came the announcement that stopped me cold. Karen was to lead a new division for the Pinnacle account and needed a top-tier team. She spoke at length about the qualities she sought, then named her first hire, Ethan, who'd been with the company for 8 months and hadn't touched the project. I sat there, stunned, as colleagues congratulated him. Then Karen turned to me and said, "Sarah, I'll need those monthly reports by tonight. I know you'll come through." Something snapped inside me. 5 years of saying yes, of burning the midnight oil, of missing time with my ailing father. 5 years of watching others claim my work. 5 years of being kind. I stood, walked to the restroom, and stared at my reflection. My hands trembled. The woman in the mirror was a stranger. That was the moment. The precise instant I realized kindness wasn't enough anymore. I returned to the celebration with an unfamiliar calm, like I was observing myself from a distance. I approached Karen, who was chatting with the executives about her new division, and tapped her shoulder. "I need to talk to you now," I said. She gave me that condescending smile, the one that said, "Not now, dear." But I held my ground, staring until her expression wavered. "Fine, Sarah. What's so urgent?" she said, irritation clear. "We should discuss this privately," I replied, my voice steady. The room was watching now. She couldn't brush me off without causing a scene, so she followed me to a corner. "What's so important? It couldn't wait?" she asked, glancing at her watch like my time was insignificant. "I want to know why Ethan's on the Pinnacle team when I built the entire pitch, research, slides, everything." Her eyes narrowed briefly before the fake smile returned. "Sarah, we've been over this. It was a group effort. As your manager, I decide team roles. Anger surged, hot and new. A group effort, like me staying late while you were at your daughter's recital? Her face tightened. Watch your tone. This isn't constructive. Let's talk when you're calmer. I hadn't realized I was speaking loudly until heads turned. Constructive, like me, working through nights on the pinnacle pitch while you took credit? My phone buzzed. A hospital text. Dad had been admitted after his fall, worse than they thought. Possible internal injuries. I looked at Karen. I'm not calming down. I'm done. I quit. Her eyes widened. What? I'm done being your doormat. Done watching you steal my work. Done sacrificing my family for a job that doesn't value me. Her tone softened, manipulative. Sarah, don't be rash. You're upset, I get it. You're important to us. I nearly laughed. The first time you've said that is when I'm leaving. An executive, Mark Thompson, approached, concerned. Is everything all right? No, I said before Karen could speak. I've just resigned because my manager takes credit for my work. The pinnacle pitch was mine, every slide, every idea. Mark frowned. That's a serious claim, Sarah. It's not a claim, it's the truth. I have the original files on my drive, emails with drafts I sent Karen, my handwritten notes. Karen's face paled. This is absurd. She's emotional. Her father's ill and she's not coping. Her using Dad's illness against me was the final straw. I pulled out my phone and forwarded an email to Mark. I've just sent you the original pitch with my notes, including Karen's request to remove my name from the presenter section. Also, a recording from last month where she told me to do the work and let her handle the client for her promotion. I hadn't planned to use that recording, made to reassure myself I wasn't imagining things, but it felt like fate. Karen was speechless. Mark checked his phone, his face shifting. Sarah, let's discuss this in my office. I shook my head. I'm done talking. I'm done here. I need to be with my father. I'll send HR my resignation. I walked out, ignoring calls of my name, past stunned colleagues who'd never seen accommodating Sarah stand up for herself. Outside, I took a deep breath, the first real one in years. I drove to the hospital. Dad, pale but smiling, said, Shouldn't you be at work? I squeezed his hand. They'll manage. I'm where I need to be. Over the next few days, as Dad stabilized, I got countless messages from coworkers, some shocked, others supportive, a few sharing how Karen had exploited them too. I focused on Dad and my next steps. A week later, while he napped, I checked my email. Mark Thompson had written, asking me to call. Curious, I dialed him from the hospital hallway. Sarah, thanks for calling, he said, relieved. After reviewing your evidence and speaking with others, we've let Karen go for violating our ethics policy. I hadn't expected that. Oh, was all I could say. He continued, We'd like you to take her role leading the Pinnacle team. You know the account better than anyone. I was floored. Karen's promotion was now mine. I appreciate it, Mark, but I'm not sure. I want to return, he paused. We're offering a substantial pay raise, full remote flexibility for your family's needs, and back pay for the bonus Karen received for your work. I thought of Dad's medical bills, how I loved the creative parts of my job, just not the mistreatment. What about the culture that let this happen? I asked. Why didn't anyone notice? Mark sighed. That's fair. We're overhauling management practices and reporting structures. We failed you, Sarah, but I'm asking for a chance to fix it. I said I'd think about it and asked for an in-person meeting to discuss terms. He agreed. That night, Dad woke and saw me lost in thought. What's on your mind? I told him everything. Karen, quitting, the offer. He listened, then asked, What do you want, kid? I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants to go back and lead without being like Karen. Part wants a fresh start. He nodded. When did you feel most like yourself this week? I thought. When I stood up to Karen, when I stopped letting people walk over me. Exactly, he said. Don't go back to the old Sarah, whatever you decide. The next day, I met Mark and laid out my terms. Full remote flexibility during Dad's treatment, my choice of team, and a policy ensuring proper credit for work. He agreed to it all. I started the new role a month later, mostly from Dad's house as he recovered. My team respected me because I respected them. We finished the Pinnacle project's first phase ahead of schedule. There were challenges. Some, who knew the old Sarah, tested me, expecting a pushover. They learned I was fair but firm. 6 months later, Dad completed treatment, his prognosis hopeful. He took up tennis, grumbling about his serve. I earned a company innovation award for a new campaign strategy. One evening, Dad walked into my home office. I was thinking about that day you came to the hospital after quitting. You seemed lighter. I smiled. I remember. He sat down. Before that, I worried you were letting life push you around. It took my illness to make you put yourself first. Tears welled. I'm sorry it took so long. He squeezed my hand. Don't be. You learned when you were ready. Your mom would be proud. She never took nonsense either. That made me laugh. Mom was no doormat. Later, I reflected on the old Sarah, always agreeable, always prioritizing others. I didn't hate her. She was well-meaning but scared of conflict, of disapproval. The new Sarah wasn't fearless, but faced fears, set boundaries, and earned respect. A week later, Ethan emailed, asking about openings on my team. He'd heard I was a fair leader who gave credit where due. I considered ignoring him, letting him feel my old pain. But that wasn't me. Kindness didn't mean weakness, nor did it mean vengeance. I offered him an interview, no promises. Dad, seeing the email, chuckled. You're kinder than me. I'd have told him to take a hike. I laughed. Maybe, but I can be kind and still set my own terms. We toasted to boundaries and to not mistaking kindness for weakness. It was a long road from the woman sobbing in the restroom to the director in her home office, but I wouldn't trade it, not even for the ease of being invisible. 2 years on, I'm a director at Thompson Creative, leading a team known for excellence and fairness. We credit every contributor by name. Dad's in remission, playing tennis, and regaling my coworkers with embarrassing stories at company parties. Last month, Karen applied for a role in my department, not recognizing my married name. When she saw me in the interview, her face cycled through shock, fear, and resignation. I conducted the interview fairly, asked pertinent questions, and thanked her for coming. I didn't hire her, not out of spite, but because others were stronger candidates. As she left, she paused. You're different, Sarah, I smiled. Yes, I am. Thanks for noticing. She looked puzzled. You're thanking me? In a way, I said. Your actions pushed me to find my strength. So, thank you for that. Speechless, she nodded and left. That night, I told Dad. He laughed so hard he nearly fell over. Her face must have been something else. It was, I said. But I meant it. If she hadn't pushed me to my limit, I might not be who I am now. He nodded. Sometimes our lowest points lead to our best choices. I often think of that restroom moment, the tears, the trembling, the certainty that something had to change. It was my lowest point, but also the bedrock of everything since. When people ask about the moment I stopped being nice, I say it wasn't about abandoning kindness. It was about extending it to myself too. And that's made all the difference.